CBC News has learned Ottawa's plan to help the auto sector is supposed to be released tomorrow. The federal government is expected to announce the end of the controversial electric vehicle sales mandate. In its place, a system that emphasizes fuel efficiency. It's unclear how soon this new system will be implemented and whether it will achieve the same level of carbon pollution reductions as the EV mandate. For more on what to expect, I want to bring in Greg Layson. He is the digital editor at Automotive News Canada, and he joins us now from LaSalle, Ontario. So, Greg, welcome. Thank you for your time.
Anytime.
What is your reaction to this news today?
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that there are changes being made. I'm surprised that they have moved to tailpipe emissions. We have seen this happening in the United States, where Donald Trump is trying to overrule California's emission standards, which are the gold standard in North America. And so when you start to throw in another set of rules and regulations that may or may not harmonize with the United States, you're asking for a little bit of trouble, in that the automakers now have to choose if they're going to honor our rules and regulations for what is essentially 2% of the global auto market, or will they forego selling internal combustion engines in Canada altogether? This is what I've been talking about for a few years now, is that Canada and the United States need to be harmonized on fuel emissions and safety standards and tailpipe emissions regulations, because it's just easier for the automaker. This appears early on, and we don't know all the details, to be something that might be more difficult to deal with.
So given that, then, why do you think this is what we are anticipating will be announced?
I think it is a way for Mark Carney and the Liberals to force automakers to reduce their emissions in Canada. There's no question about it. They either don't sell internal combustion engine vehicles here, or they sell electric or hybrid vehicles in Canada. Both of those last two that I mentioned, they clearly lower fuel emissions from the vehicles. So it is a way to force the automakers to sell something that is greener, but maybe not necessarily as profitable. Look, the reason automakers like Donald Trump right now is because he's rolling back what it is Canada appears to be putting forward tomorrow. It's cheaper, it's more profitable. It is a supply chain that exists. They can pivot easily and sell more internal combustion engines in America. Automakers like that policy. They're flocking to it, and we are sort of bucking that trend if this is the way we go.
So talk to us about some of these fuel emissions and some of these sort of benchmarks that Canada is hoping to reach with what we believe is going to be proposed, or what we believe is going to be in this new strategy. Do you think that this is going to be effective? How is this going to either help or not help Canada reach some of those goals?
Well, it would help us reach our, those goals of net zero, those goals of reducing emissions and greenhouse gases. It helps if they aren't sold in Canada, or if they are sold in Canada, they are stricter than what they are right now. And we don't know the details yet of how much is going to be rolled back, how the credit system will work if you don't roll back and continue to sell internal combustion engine vehicles in Canada at current regulations and standards that operate under the United States system. If that's the case, it sounds like you would be able to buy credits and sort of buy your way out of compliance. But automakers don't like that either, because they're simply giving money to their competitors. And in this case, a lot of times it is all electric vehicle companies that benefit. And so while the government isn't necessarily picking winners and losers, it is forcing winners and losers. So if you are an automaker that doesn't adhere to these new standards, you could buy credits that would then be purchased from someone like Tesla or Rivian or Lucid, who only make electric vehicles. And then they profit from that and turn that money into more R&D, more fuel-efficient vehicles, more electrification, while you're still left sort of trailing behind if you're the automaker that isn't able to comply that soon.
So I think what I'm hearing you say here, Greg, is that if what we believe is going to be announced is in fact what is announced, that it will be these EV auto manufacturers that will benefit more from all of this. So given that, what do you think this means for the other automakers in this country at a very difficult moment for the auto industry in Canada?
Look, those automakers that operate in Canada right now and manufacture vehicles here, there is only one that is manufacturing an all-electric version of a vehicle, and it is the Dodge Charger in Windsor, Ontario, and that is a muscle car. It's a niche vehicle. Nothing else in Canada right now is pure battery electric. There are hybrids built here for sure. This can benefit those. Again, if we look at what those standards are, this might be a way to simply increase hybrid adoption, which is already on the rise because they're not as expensive as electric vehicles. So this might be a bigger push for them. And automakers are going that way. They know that the general public and the consumer wants something greener, something cleaner, but they can't afford a battery electric vehicle, which if it's a car, it's about $6,000 more upfront. If it's an SUV or a truck, it's about $11,000 more upfront. But a hybrid fits in between that and can be an affordable option. And so maybe this forces automakers to sell and manufacture more hybrids in Canada, and that would be good news and good for the auto industry.
So just finally here, I don't have a lot of time left, but if someone were to ask you, someone who's in the market right now, try to find a new vehicle, wants to buy a new car, what would you tell them about what they should be looking at in terms of the type of vehicle that they might be buying?
I would say wait until Friday morning when the dust settles and we know if the electric vehicle rebate is back. That could be a $5,000 cash incentive to buy a battery electric vehicle. And if you're in Quebec or British Columbia, where there are additional incentives, Manitoba as well, you can combine all that and get a discount. If that doesn't exist in somewhere like Ontario, you still might get $5,000 off a battery electric vehicle if that discount comes back, or you might consider a hybrid vehicle on Friday if there are no incentives. Those are your two options. Hybrid if there isn't an incentive, and if there is an incentive, start shopping around because the price is going to come down.
Greg, great to have you here. Thank you so much for this.
Anytime.
Greg Layson, the digital editor at Automotive News Canada. We reached him in LaSalle, Ontario.